Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to thank the opportunity to the organizers and especially the wonderful Dr. Flora Rétfalvi for inviting me and having me here. It's truly an honor and a privilege, and especially because I feel like I am the break here, or I try to act like the break. So let's see if we can argue later on the day. Speaking at the Educational Summit always feels a bit ambiguous for me, especially since I am the break here, and the focus is on technology, digitalization, and how we want to implement them and integrate it to our schools. And then I show up and I speak about people, human interactions, and what some might call old-fashioned values. And as you can see, I'm one of the digital natives. I'm grateful for the members of the EdTech Alliance and EdTech Hungary welcoming me here, but because they often engage with me in debates and we exchange ideas respectfully, and we don't always agree. And I hope they know, and you will know, that I always try to strive for balance, the golden middle road, and that applies to education technology too. It's still early in the morning, so instead of some data and number-rich presentation, I decided to raise some questions, which you might find provocative, but I will continue on the topic on pace of development. So I will connect to the previous speakers, but without that nice background. When we talk about today's students, mainly from the alpha generation and soon about the beta at the schools, we intend to call them digital natives. But the term is often misunderstood. Just because someone is born into a world of devices, it doesn't mean they know how to use them well. Yes, they can use digital tools naturally and quickly. They are often more open to new technologies. But that's also because thousands of experts work on these tools and platforms to make them more user-friendly and addictive. Even someone with no digital background can pick up them fairly easily, as some of the new studies show. But the real question is, can they use them effectively, or as the State Secretary said, purposefully, and we also talked about responsibility. So these three words, what I like the most, so you can see I'm very practical. So what are the consequences of using digital tools without intention or awareness? How can someone use artificial intelligence, digital tools, platforms, or the internet wisely without a strong base of knowledge, without critical or logical thinking, without a clear purpose? Digital natives might know how to use the tools, but that doesn't mean they know what to do with them, how to ask the right questions, how to collaborate using technology, or how to organize the flood of information they find online. And this is where parents, teachers, and educators come in. Speaking of the later one, because I meet them the most and I work in teacher education, looking around in Hungary, and globally, I'm actually encouraged to see that teacher education is placing more emphasis on digital skills and even starting on artificial intelligence. Some might say it's still behind the pace of technological change. But honestly, education systems have never moved as fast as innovation. And maybe they shouldn't. There's a hidden advantage in the slow pace of changes in education systems. Like books, schools are meant to preserve cultural heritage, the knowledge of the humans, national identity, and to teach basic skills. Schools help to form responsible citizens. They prepare students for life. I hope we agree on these. If we constantly chase the newest trends, we risk losing the core values and long-term purpose of education. And moving too fast can be risky. The UNESCO stated in one of their earlier studies that we have very little research on the EdTech companies. I hope it doesn't apply to the attendant ones. But these products' effectiveness and their effect is very rarely studied. In the UK, where we have many EdTech companies, only 7% of these tools and devices were tested. And even if they are, These studies are often funded by the same company whose profit is coming from that tool being sold very widely. So that raises some serious concerns about bias and credibility. Now, I know many developers, and some of you are here today. I truly believe that most of you are trying to solve real problems faced by teachers and students as well. You do your work with the best intentions. But it's not your job, it's not the job of the developers to decide which educational problems should be addressed first. There are serious challenges in our society today that, for example, come from the overuse of digital devices. That's why teachers, school leaders, decision makers, and those of us working in teacher training and education need to prepare educators for two words at the same time, the digital and the analog one. Both are essential. Don't mistake me, I believe digitalization is very important. But in this hyper-digitalized world, we are starting to forget the value of the analog one. Let me give you a very easy example. Can reading comprehension, speaking skills and vocabulary be improved with AI, apps and platforms? Of course, yes. That's how I also learned English, as you can see, not that perfectly yet, but it's very important and it's very useful. But will those tools solve the core problem, the real problem? What if, instead of using another app, parents simply put down their phones and talk to their children? Read to them when they are small. Read together as they are growing. What if teachers encouraged real reading, speaking, and writing in class? What if we kept the standards high, the expectations from students high, even when students know they can solve the assignment, the problems faster, very quickly using, for example, large language model? Because the goal shouldn't be to get over it, to be as quick as possible. The goal is to learn, to develop, to grow as a thinker and as a person. So it's the adults' responsibility, especially the teachers, to model how to use technology with intention, to show students when, how, and why use it. Not just because it's there, not just for the sake of using it, but when it truly supports deeper learning and a better education experience. And we must preserve, besides all this development, what's already working. Digital competence is not something we are born with. There is no such a thing as someone's born with a phone. We give the phones, we give the digital devices, we give everything to our children. Also, the use of it must be taught, it must be guided, and more importantly, it must be modeled. Educators, parents, and leaders must step up and become digital mentors, as one could say. Because if we don't teach the next generation how to use digital technology wisely, who will? And I hope we will answer some of these questions today. Thank you for having me.